Has this ever happened to you? You get back to your base trying to craft something, but you realize there's one more resource you need. So you have to head back out there and get it. If only you had an unlimited amount of scrap so you could trade for everything you need. Actually, wait, you can easily do that. And to prove it to you, I'm going to get 1000 scrap by the end of this video. And I'll try to do all of that in less than an hour. Alright, so first things first, we've got to move this train station up on top of that mountainside over there, because down here in the valley we've got all of the automation that we used for the Christmas event, and the farm we're going to build in this video to get all of that scrap is gonna be pretty big, so we're gonna need a ton of space for that, which we don't have down here. Now that we've got the train station up here, the whole place flattened, painted, and we've got all the resources we need right here, it's time to take a look at the blueprint. The blueprint is basically the way the scrap farm is gonna look like once it's done, and I know it might look a little bit complicated right now, but I assure you it's not. I'll walk you through it step by step and you'll see it's actually pretty easy to do. I will also show you the list of items where you can see all of the items you will need to build this, and of course you can build it at a larger scale if you want to, but this size fits pretty well for our goal in this video. Now before we get to any of that, we're gonna need a lot more power going through the base in order to sustain this scrap farm. And you should make sure you've got enough power in your base before starting this build. Depending on what planet you are, you can use whatever power items you want. Here on Glacio, I'm just gonna use wind turbines and batteries. These seem to work the best here. So there we go, just a nice little extra section that should give us enough power for this scrap farm. In case you're wondering, here's the full list of items that you're gonna need for this build. It's also gonna be in the description below, so make sure to check that out if you want to build this. But now let's actually get our hands dirty and start building it. In order to make this less complicated, I'm gonna explain it in 3 different sections. So first we've got the Astronium section that's gonna be over here. Then the trade platform section in the middle, and then the shredder section comes last. First up, we've got the Astronium section. We've got a train station right here, and this cart always comes filled with Astronium from the center of the planet. And once it gets here, the train station is set to unload the stopped cars, so all the Astronium gets unloaded onto these storages right here. Then we'll have auto arms that grab it from here and place it on this platform, so let's actually go ahead and unpack it. There we go. Now let me quickly explain how the Astronium gathering works. So this is basically just a rail car with some storage on it. You can use whatever storage you want for this. It's got a storage sensor and a proximity repeater. The storage sensor is set to full or empty. So anytime the storage is completely full or completely empty, the sensor gets activated and the cart goes to the other station. I'll actually take you to the other station, just give me a moment.
One eternity later.
Alright, so I got all the way down into the caves. We are next to the core here, and basically all this is another rail station, but this one is set to load stopped cars, so it's basically the reverse of the one up top. So anytime the cart gets here, it gets filled with Astronium and then it goes up to the top where it gets unloaded. Now everything's stopped down here because we are full of Astronium in this train station, but once we start up the scrap farm up on the surface, the cart will come back here and take the Astronium. So this will all resume. I went a little overboard with this here. I've got 6 auto-extractors on 3 different Astronium nodes for this, but basically all you need is at least 1 auto-extractor. You can add more if you want this to go faster. I obviously want to get at least 1000 scrap in 1 hour, so I went with 6 of these. But yeah, when you're building this and looking on the list of items, you're gonna see that there's only 1 auto-extractor required, although I do suggest you use at least 2. Before we move to the next section, let's make sure we've got auto arms in here to grab all this Astronium. And also make sure that everything is connected, because we're gonna need power all throughout this thing. Alright, so basically the auto arms should reach all the way into this storage right here, whichever storage you want to use. I went with a large storage silo with a ton of medium storages on it, but you can use whatever you want. And then all of these are gonna unload on this platform right here, and we'll just have a lot of storages on this. We basically want this so it doesn't get backed up like it is right now, where the cart can't actually move. So if you don't want to spend the resources on this, you don't have to build this platform right here, but it's actually really good to have it, because from here we can get started on the trade platform section. We're going to use an automated trade platform setup for this. Well, actually 4 of them. Again, if you don't want the farm to work as fast, you can use only 1 or 2 automated trade platforms, but for this video I'm going to use 4, and that's really the way it should be done. So let's get to unpacking these here. Great, now we can get to setting up the auto arms that grab the Astronium from here, bring it over here, and then automatically send these trade platforms. So we'll need all of them to be set to solid fuel jump jets, because that's what we're gonna use to get our scrap. The next thing you want to do is set up 4 auto arms this way, so each of them goes towards one of the trade platforms. Next thing is gonna be a line of medium platforms, just like the ones we used for the auto arms. And after those, another line of 4 auto arms, so one for each trade platform. So you're basically gonna have an auto arm, an empty platform, and another auto arm. And then the trade platform. Let's actually put some Astronium in the selector slots of these auto arms. This is to make sure they don't grab anything else, because if they grab something they shouldn't, then the whole farm is basically gonna stop, and we really don't want that to happen. So now that we've got items in the selector slots, it's time to automate these trade platforms. For that we're gonna use storage sensors and count repeaters. And this is actually easier than you think. First, take a storage sensor and place it on this empty platform right here. Then connect it to the first auto arm, then to the second. Now place a count repeater down here and connect the storage sensor to the count repeater as well, and then connect the count repeater to the trade platform. Now because we are gonna get solid fuel jump jets, which means we're gonna use 4 Astronium at a time to get 8 of these, we are gonna set the count repeater to 4. This basically counts how many items go into the trade platform, and once 4 Astronium get fed into the trade platform, this is gonna trigger it and it will take off. Make sure the storage sensor is set to full or empty. This is basically gonna send an impulse to the count repeater anytime this storage is full or empty. Before you start this up, I suggest adding an extra Astronium to this auto arm right here, the one next to the trade platform. Otherwise, the first time this gets sent, it's gonna send it with just 3 Astronium. Now repeat this simple automation process for each of the trade platforms, and then we can move on to the last section. We are gonna unpack the shredders in just a second now, but before we do that, make sure to add auto arms that are gonna grab the solid fuel jump jets off of the trade platforms, and make sure to add a solid fuel jump jet to the selector slot of each of these auto arms. And this is really important because otherwise these are just gonna grab the Astronium that's on the trade platforms, and that would make them useless. So make sure you set this up the right way and add a solid fuel jump jet to each auto arm. I placed 2 auto arms for each platform because we need to get the jump jets off of the trade platform before all of the Astronium gets fed onto it, because remember, it gets sent automatically, so any jump jet that's still on the trade platform when it launches is just gonna get sent to the floor and might glitch through the ground or cause extra lag that we don't really need. If you want to, you can add 3 auto arms for each trade platform, but 2 should be enough. Alright, so here's the last section of this build, and that's the shredders. So I've got 2 large platforms right here, and we are gonna use XL shredders for these. Make sure to connect them to power as well. And now we need to move the auto arms so that they all can reach the shredder. So just turn them around slightly depending on how you placed your shredder. Now I will actually go ahead and place compound on here because we don't want any solid fuel jump jets heading this way. And I'm gonna do the same on the other side. Now I'll place some medium storages for the scrap right here. And then auto arms will grab it and feed it onto the last platform, which is gonna be our storage section. And this should be able to hold more than 1,000 scrap. So I've got 4 large resource canisters for this. But yeah, I'm just gonna get some auto arms in here. Once you've got these auto arms set up, make sure to add a scrap to their selector slot. They can reach the large resource canisters. Output is disabled, so they are just gonna get filled with scrap. After we start this up, we can go into some more details about how it all works and why this strategy is so much better than others. But first we need to turn on all of these auto arms. I'm actually gonna disconnect it all from power so we can turn on the auto arms, and then we can connect it and it will all start at once. You want to turn all of the auto arms on except these ones that are next to the trade platforms. Those need to stay off in the beginning because they will get turned on by the sensors, alternatively with the auto arms in front of them. So make sure to not turn those on, otherwise the farm will not work. So apart from those, all of the other auto arms should be on. And now it's time to connect this whole thing to power and start getting some scrap. And here we go. I said I'm gonna do this in 1 hour, so the timer starts right now. Let's actually take a look at it, so we can make sure everything's working fine. And in case we forgot something or didn't connect something, we're gonna see it right now. See, I found a mistake here. This storage sensor was set to full or not full. It should be full or empty. Make sure you do one of these quick checks before you start the farm up, because mistakes can easily happen. But now that we fixed that, everything seems to work nicely. Our shredders are going, we are getting scrap, and the large storages are slowly filling up. Okay, so after about 5 minutes I realized we are getting a ton of Astronium with those 6 auto-extractors down there. So I made a couple changes. I added 2 more shredders and I placed each of them on a large platform A. This way they take less space and we could fit 4 of them in there. I did this this because we were getting so much Astronium the farm couldn't handle it, so the trade platforms were just filling up and jump jets would fall on the ground. That could have been a real lag problem, but most importantly it made the farm run slower, and I promised you guys I would get 1000 scrap in under 1 hour. So that's why with this updated design we can do it. Overall it's been like 15 minutes, so we've still got 45 to go, but let me just explain how this works. So basically the Astronium gets transferred into the trade platforms, there it gets turned into jump jets, and then the jump jets get shredded for scrap. Sounds pretty easy, right? So one Astronium gives us 2 jump jets, and each one of those gives us 1.5 scrap. If you do the math, 1 Astronium equals 3 scrap, and our cart has 32 slots on it, so it can carry 32 Astronium at once. That means that each time the cart comes to resupply the farm, we are getting 96 scrap. And because of that, we are on the path to beat the 1000 scrap an hour challenge. Okay, now I'll leave the farm run for another 45 minutes, and then I'll come back to see the results. By the way, I updated the schematic and the list of items for the updated scrap farm design, so this is the final version that you're gonna see in the description, and this is the version you saw earlier in the video as well when I showed you the graphic. Just as a reminder, if you want to build this, go in the description and you can see the list of items right there. Go back in this video so you can see the schematic, and then watch through it again for a step-by-step guide on how to do it. Also, if you need extra help with the automated trade platform part, I've got another video where I explain it in detail, so you might want to check that out as well. Okay, but enough of that, let's see what we've got after 1 hour of having this farm running. Alright, so to my surprise, after 1 hour we've got not just 1000 scrap, but 1600 scrap. We've got 4 of these filled out, and the farm has completely stopped because we have no more place for the scrap, so this has definitely surpassed my expectations. I've got to say I'm actually a little bit surprised it worked this good, but yeah, we got 1600 scrap in just 1 hour. If you enjoyed the video, then make sure to subscribe, that makes sure you don't miss any future videos, and don't forget, if you need help with the automated trade platforms, then check this video right here. That's gonna be all for today. I've been Games for Life, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, Astroneers!